Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to today's session. So we are continuing with the environment and ecology sessions. This is a ongoing series. We have reached up to the 19th lecture. There will be a few more. Okay, maybe like 3 or 4 more lectures will be there, and it would be done. Okay, but in the previous class we had started a particular chapter, that is the climate change organizations. We looked into the different COPs, okay, conference of parties, all the way from Kyoto Protocol up to the 2017 summit. Okay, I hope you remember all that. In today's session, we are going to move forward into other kinds of agencies and organizations that deals with climate change. Okay, so today's session is going to be really short. It's not going to be too long, and I will be giving you a lot of information. Okay, a lot of data points will be there towards the end that you can read it in your own time. I will upload the whole thing in the Telegram channel. You can download it from there and read it and study it from there. Okay, because those are like point based things. I will show you at that time, you will understand. So there is no point in me repeatedly reading through the whole thing. Okay, so we will look into some of the major portions, and towards the end of it you can do it yourself. So comparatively, today's session is going to be really short, and tomorrow there will not be a session on environment, but there will be the CSAT session. Tomorrow is the final session on CSAT, so please do join me at 2 o'clock afternoon for the last session on CSAT. Okay, environment section, I don't know when the next class will be. I will arrange it and inform you via the Telegram group. So please do subscribe to my Telegram channel. The link is given underneath in the description section. So join that channel, and I will inform you the next session there. Okay. So let's begin. Welcome to Madhav Sankar classes. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. Also, please like this video and share with your friends. Okay. So climate change organizations part 2. So I hope you remember whatever I have taught you yesterday. It's a pretty much dry topic, and I know that it has been a bit boring also. It has been boring for me anyway. So I know how you feel. But anyway, these are important topics, so please do cover them and update it using your current affairs reading, newspaper reading and all. Okay, so what are the other mechanisms of UNFCCC? We already looked into the COP. Okay, CMA and COP we finished. We finished up to 2017. The rest I told you, it's the current affairs portion. Please read on it. So the other mechanisms of UNFCCC apart from COP. Okay, first one, Special Climate Change Fund, SCCF. So this fund was actually established under this convention in 2001. Okay, and the main ideology behind this fund was to finance adaptation, technology transfer, capacity building, energy transport, and so and so. Clear? And the Global Environment Facility has been entrusted as the chief operator of SCCF. So this is one finance mechanism under UNFCCC for funding various activities related to adaptation, technology transfer, etc., etc. Second one, finance mechanism for climate change. Okay, so this is again a broader perspective, a broader organization, a broader methodology. Basically, the finance mechanism for climate change. Here, the financial resources that have been made available to the non-Annex 1 parties to the UNFCCC is subdivided into 3 modules. Okay, the non-Annex 1 parties, including the developing nations and all. The fund allotted to them is actually divided into 3. Okay, into 3 different modules. First module, the National Communications module. So I hope you remember regarding the national communication, the NATCOM, which we discussed yesterday. So this module basically funds programs based on that, the National Communications module. Okay, second one, Fast Start Finance. So back in COP 15, 2009 Copenhagen Summit. Here, the developed countries pledged to provide new and additional resources to the developing nations. in fields of forestry, investments, etc., etc., for both mitigation and adaptation to climate change. So this pledge made by the developed nations in the Copenhagen summit came to be known as fast track finance. Alright, so this is another mechanism underneath the finance mechanism for climate change of UNFCCC. Third one, the funds managed by the GEF module, the Global Environment Facility. Okay, we talked about GEF. We will be talking about GEF again in the upcoming slides. So this is the third module. So these three are the main modules under the finance mechanism for climate change. Alright, now, apart from this, there is another initiative on a global perspective known as REDD. Yesterday we briefly mentioned this. I told you that I will be taking about RED and RED plus in the next class. So here it is. What is RED and what is RED plus? RED basically stands for reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. This is actually a global endeavor to create an incentive for developing countries to protect and better manage their forest resources. In most of the developed countries, the forest cover is already very much thin. Okay, so the major forest cover is seen in developing nations. So we have to protect these forest cover as such, and for that the developing nations need help. Clear? So that is the main goal under REDD. Reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. Yesterday I told you, when you cut down forests, what is happening? In effect, a huge amount of carbon sink is being destroyed. So that amount of carbon or carbon dioxide equivalent, which the forest used to absorb, is now present in the atmosphere when that forest cover is gone. Correct? So RED mechanism aims to prevent this from happening and to protect and better manage these forest cover in developing nations. RED plus is actually an improvement on RED. This is much beyond RED. Okay, this goes beyond RED, merely checking deforestation and forest degradation, and includes incentives for positive elements of conservation, sustainable management of forests, and enhancement of forest carbon stocks. So this is not just about mere preventing of deforestation and forest degradation. This is also about afforestation, positive elements, positive steps, sustainable management of forests, enhancing the forest cover. Clear? So this is one step ahead of REDD. So this one works on the basis of creating a financial value for carbon stored and enhanced in biomass and soil of standing forests. Associate the amount of carbon that is in the stored form in forests and biomass, etc., with a financial value. Okay, if you can assess the amount of it, if you can quantify it, then you will have a better idea of it. Correct? If you have proper quantified data on something, then you will have a better understanding of it, and you will know how to improve or where to improve. Correct? But if you cannot quantify something, then it's all a huge fuss. It's all under a veil. You won't be able to clearly identify what is what. Correct? So REDD plus is basically an approach that incorporates the important benefits of livelihood improvement, biodiversity conservation, food security, etc., etc. So this is a much broader term compared to the REDD. Okay, so the difference being REDD focuses on preventing deforestation and preventing deterioration of forest degradation. But RED plus is a step ahead. Along with whatever is done by REDD, RED plus also focuses upon sustainable management of forests and enhancing of the forest carbon stocks. Okay, now India as a nation believes that REDD needs to be seen in a broader context of RED plus. Okay, rather than seeing REDD and REDD plus as two different ideologies, India's stand is that we should put them together and make a comprehensive action towards preventing this climate change, towards reducing deforestation, conservation and improvement of forests, etc., etc. Okay, so basically for India, conserving and enhancing forests and preventing deforestation are two sides of a same coin. And India's stand was actually accepted by the global nations in the very famous COP13 that happened in Bali. I hope you remember from yesterday's class regarding Bali summit. So at Bali, everybody accepted India's stand on this. Red and Red Plus should, go hand in hand. These are the two sides of the same coin. Clear? So India, on its part, took a lot of initiatives to propound the concept of Red Plus within domestically. So India presented an ambitious Green India mission under the National Plan for Climate Change, National Action Plan on Climate Change. Okay, I think you might have heard about this, the Green India mission, a very ambitious program to enhance the forest cover, prevent deforestation, etc., etc. India also made a submission to the UNFCCC on RED, Sustainable Management of Forest and Afforestation and Reforestation, in December 2008. A technical group has been set up to develop methodologies and procedures to assess and monitor contributions of RED Plus actions. National RED Plus Coordinating Agency has been established and a National Forest Carbon Accounting Program is being institutionalized. So India, on its part, has taken up this initiative as a challenge and has, implemented a lot of ambitious projects in its broader perspective of National Action Plan on Climate Change. We have a lot of initiatives in this regard, and these are the main ones underneath the RED Plus initiative. Okay, so this is India's stand on RED and RED Plus. Now, coming to the Global Environmental Facility, or GEF. Yesterday itself, I mentioned that GEF is actually derived from the Article 11 of UNFCCC. So it is this article that creates a financial mechanism for convention implementing, which is to function under the guidance of UNFCCC, COP, and be accountable to COP. So Global Environmental Facility, or say this fund, GEF, is basically a fund under UNFCCC. But this is managed and coordinated and guided by COP. Okay, this is responsible to the COP. Just like we say that Consolidated Fund of India, it can only be accessed through the money bill and all. Similar, it is responsible to the Parliament. Correct? Only Parliament can make use of it. So similarly, here GEF is made use through COP. It is accountable to the COP, Conference of Parties. GEF was established in 1991 by the World Bank in consultation with two of the prominent agencies of UN, United Nations Development Program and United Nations Environmental Program. Okay, so World Bank along with UNDP and UNEP created the GEF. And right now, GEF has 6 focal areas: biological diversity, climate change, international waters, land degradation, ozone layer depletion, and persistent organic pollutants, or POP. These are the 6 core areas which are targeted by GEF. Okay, now climate smart agriculture. What do this concept imply? I think you might have heard about this phrase, climate smart agriculture. What exactly is this? We all know that agriculture is one of the main victims of climate change, correct? Because of the changing climatic patterns and weather conditions, agriculture has suffered a lot, maybe due to flooding, maybe due to say drought, or maybe due to the increasing amount of pests, correct? But on the other side, agriculture is one of the major cause of climate change, directly accounting to 14% of greenhouse gas emissions. In agriculture, you use a lot of fertilizers, which basically puts more nitrogen and ammonia into the atmosphere, correct? Similarly, other say gases, greenhouse gases such as methane, are emitted from the agricultural fields and allied activities. Okay, agriculture means not just cropping and all, agriculture and allied activities, cattle stock, etc., etc. So according to the IPCC report 2007, agriculture amounts for 14% of greenhouse gases in a global perspective. Okay, but Agriculture is also a boon in the sense that although it emits such a huge amount of greenhouse gas, it is also one of the major sequesters of greenhouse gas. Agriculture has the potential of absorbing a lot of carbon dioxide equivalents from the atmosphere and storing it in the form of a biotic substance or storing it into the soil. So in this way, agriculture is actually a boon. We can use agriculture to prevent excess of global greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Associated with this is the concept of triple win. What is triple win? As the name suggests, there are 3 wins here. Okay, a win-win-win situation. So what are these 3 wins? First of all, interventions that would increase yields. Okay, so in agriculture, we can interfere in agriculture or intervene in agriculture such that we can, put in technologies that could increase the yield. By increasing the yield, we can reduce poverty and we can improve food security. Correct? We can reduce starvation. We can bring in more nutritious food. We can reduce poverty. We can increase food security. Second win, make yields more resilient in the face of extremes. Basically, adaptation. Okay, so we have increased the yields, and this yield has to be ready to face all changing circumstances, ready to face all extremes. So it should be able to adapt to changing climatic circumstances. Third one, make the farm a solution to the climate change problem rather than part of the problem. Convert the agricultural field into the solution of this climatic problems rather than being a source of it. I told you that agricultural fields emit a lot of greenhouse gases. So in that sense, agricultural fields are a source to the climatic problems. But by proper management, we can actually change this. We can actually make the agricultural fields a solution to the same problem. Why? Because these agricultural fields are also capable of absorbing this carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing them into different forms. So these are active sequesters of carbon dioxide equivalents. Correct. So by these 3 mechanisms, improving yields, adaptation, and mitigation, this is known as triple win. And any kind of agriculture or any kind of practicing of this type of agriculture is termed as climate smart agriculture. Okay, any kind of agricultural practice where the yield is increased and it's ready to adapt to the changing circumstances and is a solution or a mitigation to the climatic change is known as triple win or climate smart agriculture. Okay, now IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So what exactly is IPCC? IPCC is another term that you see in newspapers very often. But what exactly is this IPCC? IPCC is actually a mechanism established by the United Nations Environmental Program and the World Meteorological Organization. UNEP, along with WMO in 1988, came up with this idea of IPCC. Why? IPCC is something, a body to provide the governments of the world with clear scientific view of what is happening to the world's climate. This is a proper authority that actually tells the government that this is what is going on in the global climatic perspective, and these are the actions that are needed to prevent alarming climatic changes. Okay, so WMO and UNEP together set this up, and the headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, and this is actually open to all member countries of United Nations and WMO, and currently has 195 countries as its members. IPCC is actually a scientific body. Okay, I think from the above explanation itself, you would have got that. IPCC is basically a scientific body. It reviews and assesses, most of the recent scientific, technical, socioeconomic information produced worldwide relevant to our understanding of climate change. Okay, so what it does is, it actually reviews and assesses the different scientific publications and innovations, etc., etc. It does not conduct any research nor monitor climate related data or parameters. Okay, so IPCC by itself does not do any of this. It does not conduct research. It does not monitor climate. It does not monitor any of the data or parameters. What it does is it takes all the researchers and innovations and say data, etc., etc., from different parts of the world, created by different scientists and organizations, etc., etc. This takes together all of that, reviews this, assesses this, and brings up with something concrete. Okay, and IPCC has 195 members, which means IPCC is authenticated by 195 nations in the world. So whatever is put forth by IPCC is accepted by all these nations. Think about it. Say you are some scientist in United States is coming up with some idea, or say has published some report on increase in temperature or something like that. If it is kept at that level, maybe the United States government would hear him. Correct? Even that is very unlikely to happen. But if all this data is collected by a central organization which has such power and authority, and then if this organization says that this is true, or if this organization validates that scientific claim, then all these nations will listen to it. That is the idea behind IPCC. Got it? So the governments participate in the review process and the plenary sessions, where main decisions about the IPCC work program are taken and the reports are accepted, adopted, and approved. Once these three steps are completed, that IPCC report is published, and that report is accepted and authenticated by all these nations, and accordingly actions are taken. It has also produced methodologies and guidelines to help the parties to the UNFCCC prepare their national greenhouse gas inventories. So IPCC offers such help also in planning a national greenhouse gas inventory, and so and so. This is what is known as Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC. Okay, now National Greenhouse Gas Inventories Program, NGGIP. Okay, this is going to be a very short session. In I think there would be 2 or 3 more slides. After that, I will give you, there are more slides. There are 20 plus slides in this session, but the last, say 10 of them are basically international organizations. Small, just the name and some data regarding that. I'm not going to read through it. There is nothing to explain there. Just understand it. Just go through it. Study where their headquarters is, etc., etc., and that's it. Okay, so I will show it to you when it comes to it. National Greenhouse Gas Inventories Program, NGGIP. So the IPCC established this National Greenhouse Gas Inventories Program. Earlier I told you that. Correct. So this is again something that is established by IPCC. So what does this program do? Basically, it provides methods for estimating the national inventories of greenhouse gas emissions and to removals from the atmosphere. Okay, methods and mechanisms on how to inventorize this greenhouse gas emissions by a nation. That methodology, that technique is provided by NGGIP. Okay, so all this IPCC guidance have therefore been compiled by an international range of authors and with extensive global review process. The current mandate of the National Greenhouse Gas Inventories Program was approved in Montreal in May 2000. Okay, so this NGGIP's current mandate has been approved in the Montreal Summit in 2000. And that IPCC is responsible for assessing and developing inventory methods and practices which are scientifically sound and relevant to all countries, and noting particularly the lack of information in developing countries. Noting particularly the lack of information in developing countries. So basically IPCC along with the NGGIP brings, inventorizes all these things and also provides scientific and relevant information and methods to all the member countries, particularly to the developing countries, noting that they are not as advanced as some of the Western countries. Okay, so all these services are provided by IPCC through its arm NGGIP, National Greenhouse Gas Inventories Program. Alright, now another very common term that we see along with climate change is green economy. We studied about green building code, we studied about green building, etc. etc. So what exactly is a green economy? The concept of this green economy does not have an international definition. Okay, because no, we do not, no, there is no common agreement on what exactly this green economy is. Okay, just like terrorism. Okay, India put forward the CCIT in the United Nations, but nobody accepted it because there is no global understanding on what exactly terrorism is, or who exactly is a terrorist, or what exactly is a terrorist organization. There is no definition that is accepted by everyone. Clear? So this is the same thing here also. Green economy does not have a internationally agreed upon definition. But this is actually the Rio +20 outcome document identifies green economy in the context of sustainable development and poverty eradication, and it affirms that approach will be different in accordance with the national circumstances and priorities for each country. But the global understanding, although it doesn't have a common definition, the understanding is that it has something to do with sustainable development and poverty eradication. Okay, this is actually what is the broader perspective put forth by the Rio +20 countries. Sustainable development and poverty eradication. These are the fundamental concepts of green economy. And these concepts are, again, it's not a one-size-fits-all policy. These concepts has to be elaborated according to the national perspectives. In India, sustainable development and poverty eradication means something. It means something else in the US. It means something entirely different in, say, China. Got it? So based on the country, based on the topography, based on regional climate, the definition or the the ground realities will keep on changing. But the broader concept is sustainable development and poverty eradication. Okay, so in India, green economy in India is seen in the context of sustainable development and inclusive economic growth, including poverty eradication. The government endeavors to address all the three dimensions of sustainable development, that is social, economic, and environmental development in a balanced manner. This is India's perspective on green economy. In the context of India, this is what green economy means. Okay, sustainable development with an inclusive economic growth, including poverty eradication. Sustainable growth includes both all the three: social, economic, and environmental growth, environmental development in a balanced manner. Okay, so the green economy focuses specifically on fundamental changes that are required to ensure that economic systems are made more sustainable. Sustainable development. Green economy focuses on the ways to overcome deeply rooted causes of unsustainable economic development. And there are three priority areas here. First one, decarbonization of economy. Second one, commits the environmental community to justice and equity. Third one, conserve the biosphere. These are the three priorities in transition of an economy into a green economy. First of all, decarbonization. Second, committing to the environmental community to justice and equity. Third one, conserving the biosphere. Okay, so this is the concept of green economy. Now, economics of ecosystems and biodiversity, or the TEEB. So this is another program which was actually launched by Germany and the European Commission in 2007. This is actually based on a study led by a person called Pawan Sukhdev, an Indian. It is an international initiative to draw attention to the global economic benefits of biodiversity. Okay, so biodiversity is very important in the perspective of climate change. And neglecting biodiversity is actually a huge threat to the climate change. So in order to prevent that, a mass awareness has to be made and a global action has to be taken. And that is the prime focus of TEEB. the economics of ecosystems and biodiversity. So what is the objective of TEEB? Highlight the growing cost of biodiversity loss and ecosystem degradation, and to draw together expertise from the fields of science, economics, and policy to enable practical actions. It brings in attention to the growing cost of biodiversity loss. Okay, recently we have read in the newspapers regarding the burning of forests in different places, the Amazon forest being cut down in alarming rates. Correct? We also heard about the Great Barrier Reef of Australia undergoing huge bleaching. Correct? So these, loss of biodiversity has huge implications on our ecology. Okay, so this TEEB, this initiative, basically draws together expertise from the fields of science, economics, policy, etc., together to find solutions to prevent this from happening. Clear? So in India, the ministry has launched the Economics of Environment and Biodiversity TEEB India Initiative, or the TII. Okay, to highlight the economic consequences of the loss of biodiversity and the associated decline in ecosystem services. So India is also very much interested in the TEEB, and India has initiated this program called TII, which stands for TEEB India Initiative, highlighting the economic consequences of the loss of biological diversity and associated decline in the ecosystems. Okay, now another concept, ecological footprint. Another very common term that we hear with respect to the environmental and ecological perspective. What is ecological footprint? Basically, ecological footprint is a measure of the human demand on Earth's ecosystems. Okay, in simple terms, I'll put it this way. The demand of human beings, okay, the demand of humans to survive in this world is, say, X. Okay, humans need X resources to survive on this planet, or this is the amount of resources that is being consumed by the human beings right now. Okay, and say Earth is able to provide, or the regeneration capacity of resources of planet Earth is Y. Once again. Alright, so this is the amount of resources that is provided by Earth. Clear? So this gap, that is the focus of ecological footprint. What the human beings are demanding and how much is the Earth able to recreate or say regenerate. Okay, so I will read this once and you will understand. It is a standardized measure of the demand for natural capital that may be contrasted with the planet's ecological capacity to regenerate, and represents the amount of biologically productive land and sea area necessary to supply the resources a human population consumes and to assimilate associated wastes. So how much are the human beings demanding? And how much is the Earth able to regenerate? This is the focus of ecological footprint. Okay, so currently, humanity's total ecological footprint is estimated at 1.5 planet Earths, which means human beings, the current activities of human beings actually demands 1.5 times of what the Earth is able to produce. Okay, so for example, if Earth is right now being able to regenerate 100 units of resources, the current human actions requires 150 units of resources. What does this mean? This means if the human actions continues as now, then the resources will be depleted in the very near future. We will run out of resources. Why? Because the Earth is not capable of regenerating the resources in such an accelerated fashion as being demanded by the human beings. Alright, so in order to keep a balance, the human beings have to adapt accordingly. Correct? Human beings have to change their lifestyle and adapt to an eco-friendly way of life. This is what is known as ecological footprint. Now, another term is carbon footprint. What is carbon footprint? Carbon footprint is nothing. It is actually the amount of carbon being emitted by an activity or an organization. Okay, amount of carbon emitted by an activity or organization, that is known as carbon footprint of that organization. Global Footprint Network, GFN. This agency every year presents a report on ecological footprint which maps the consumption and requirement of natural resources to sustain it. And this report, known as the Earth Overshoot Report, has indicated that ecological footprint of developed countries ranges from 8 to 4, whereas India is at 0.9. What does this mean? This means if Earth is able to produce at 100 units of resources an year, then the lifestyle of developed countries like United States, etc., are actually demanding 800 to 400 units of resources. So they have to change their lifestyle, otherwise Earth is going to go in a very disastrous situation. But for India, it is favorable. The lifestyle in India actually demands only 90 units, and the Earth is able to produce generate that. Got it? So the industrialized and the so-called developed countries have a lifestyle that is hugely disastrous to the planet's capability of regenerating the resources. Got it? Now, Global Climate Finance Architecture. This is a section that you can read on yourself. I'm not going to take it because there are plenty of funds underneath this Global Climate Finance Architecture. Starting with the Strategic Climate Fund. Okay, I will just skim through it. You can read it in your own time and study for. These are these are for your prelims perspective. So all these are one word say simple matchings. For example, look at this Strategic Climate Fund. It is administered by the World Bank. Its area of focus is adaptation and mitigation, and date of operation is 2008, since 2008. Okay, similarly, Forest Investment Program, administered by the World Bank. Area of focus mitigation, REDD, and date of operation since 2009. Similarly, Biocarbon Fund, Clean Technology Fund, Forest Carbon Partnership Facility, Partnership for Market Readiness, Special Climate Change Fund, Strategy Priority on Adaptation, GEF Trust Fund, Least Developed Countries Fund. Okay, I have given you the one word or whatever is necessary regarding all this. It's not too much important, but you have to know some very basic details about it, 1 or 2 lines. Clear? So that is provided here. Who is the administrative authority of these funds? What is the area of focus? And since when have these funds been in operation? And 1 or 2 sentences regarding how it functions. Clear? Similarly, Green Climate Fund, Adaptation Fund. These two we looked into yesterday, GCF and Adaptation Fund. Okay. Global Climate Change Alliance, Global Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Fund, MDG Achievement Fund, UN REDD Program. We already covered this earlier today. Adaptation for Smallholder Agricultural Program, Amazon Fund, Congo Basin Fund, and Indonesia Climate Change Trust Fund. Okay, I will upload all this in the Telegram channel. Read it in your own time. Not too much important, but you can actually use them as examples or something in your mains answers and all. Okay, but do not skip them. Okay, please go through it at least once. So in case a question comes from any of these, you will be able to answer. Okay, so that is it in today's class. As I have mentioned, today's session is going to be really short. I'm not, as I have given you the data. So the next environment class will not be there tomorrow. I have some commitments tomorrow. So I will let you know when the next class would be through the Telegram channel. So please do tune in there. And but the CSAT class will be there. The last CSAT class is going to happen tomorrow. Okay, the final lecture on the CSAT series is tomorrow afternoon 2 p.m. So please do make sure to join that. All right. And the environment series will also be completed by the end of this year. But I do not know when the next class would be. I will schedule it and let you know through the Telegram channel. Or please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you will get notified when I schedule the next stream. Okay, so make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video and share it with your friends. Okay, so that's it for today. A very good night to all of you. See you tomorrow afternoon with the CSAT series. Bye bye.